Right, okay. Hey, Facebook. I don't know if this is working. Oh, let's do this. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Okay, you guys. I am live on the Pitch Queen page. And I don't know where Shamika is, but if she calls me on Skype, I'll add her in, and I hope it will work. Oh, she's here. She's here. There she is. All right, let's add her on. Shamika!
Hi!
Earth to Shamika! You're here! Oh my gosh!
I'm sorry.
I was like, where is my friend? I was getting worried about you that you got stuck at CrossFit or something. I didn't know what the heck was going on. Okay, hold on one sec. Let me fix this. Oh, we're in business, guys. All right, let me do the audio. Okay, I can breathe. We've been calling you. We've been texting you. We've been Instagramming you. We've been everything. But okay. All right, let's start over. We're just a little late. We're 6 minutes late, but we're here and Shamika's alive, and that's all that matters because I thought she got stuck at CrossFit for a second. But clearly that is not the case. She is here with us, and it's so fun to have you here because this is my favorite Tuesday of every month. Or actually, let me just rephrase that. That was the wrong sentence, right, Ian? No, this is my favorite day of the week, and it's always awesome to have Shamika here, and it's just an honor to be here with everyone. Again, today is all about words that win and how to rock your next networking event with our awesome resident guest, not like a resident DJ, but a resident guest, Shamika. And next time we're going to say we start at 1:45 Pacific time. So then maybe we'll start on time at 2 o'clock. Just kidding. Anyway. But no, I was seriously getting a little worried.
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good. I actually got sidetracked.
As long as you're good, I'm good. So, that is what we're talking about today. All right, Shamika? She already knew what we were talking about, but she got a little sidetracked, so we'll just have a drink of water while she gathers her thoughts. All right, you guys. Well, welcome to Coffee is for Closers. Words that win at a networking event with our resident guest, Shamika. She is here on pretty much the one time, I can't even talk today. One time per month. Yes. And, we finally got to meet last month, so that was super awesome. And I think we're finally going to work on a project together, and that's going to be even more awesome. But, yeah, today is all about words that win, Shamika. So we're going to talk about a cup of wisdom, because we always have one of those. We are going to talk about go-to conversation starters. So maybe you can share a few of your go-to conversation starters that are really good, that you love. How to handle awkward silence, because that always happens, like when you meet new people and you're just like, man, that's a little weird. And then they don't talk to you. We're going to talk about that. How to leave a conversation on a high note no matter what, even if that person wasn't like a good fit for you. And, you know, last week we talked about how it's really going to an event and finding maybe one or two people that you connect really well with. You're not trying to meet hundreds of people, because I think that's really what overwhelms us too, or at least it did for me. I used to be like a really big extrovert, but I think I'm becoming slowly an introvert in my old age. Following up with new connections. So yeah, you meet like one or two people, but then what do you do after that? Because if you just leave them hanging, that's not good. And then a challenge for this month. So that's kind of what we're chatting about today. Cool?
Cool.
Okay,
Yep.
So for all of you that don't know who Shamika is, let me just show you real quick. Okay. Nope, that's not what I want you to see. That's what I want you to see. Okay, Shamika, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I mean,
We'll just pretend that no one knows who you are and what you do.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I'm Shamika Tankerson. I'm creator of something called the Authority Selling Method. I'm also best-selling author of the book, The Power of Commission, How to Set Fire to Your Fears and Sell More, and which is available on Amazon.com. And so I work with powerhouse women business owners who are totally badass at what they do, but they're totally undercharging and they know it. And I help them charge more and sell more, but do it with zero doubt and zero apologies.
Love it. I'm going to put a link to your book in the Amazon or the Amazon link. So if you have like a affiliate link, send it to me. We're going to put it in the comments. So you guys should probably all go and buy her book. I don't have a book, so if I had a book, I would just buy her book. I don't need to write one, just get hers. So, okay, cool. All right, so that's Shamika, and she is also known, like it says here, for her dynamic take action style and priceless straight talk. I think that's why I like you so much, is because you're just kind of a straight shooter, and that's how I roll too. So networking is really the number one unwritten rule of success in business. Shamika, would you agree with that? Like, what do you think? Because I have seen, I would say a lot of everything that I do today all comes from networking. And not like the networking with hundreds of people.
That's what I was going to say.
You know?
Yeah. I was going to say yes to networking, but not in the traditional sense of what people think networking is, because that is kind of boo. That's like, I don't know, it's cheesy the way people, the old school networking, but connections to people, like we networked, right? And then we met at this event. And so yeah, like this is like how I move through life and business and get awesome, amazing opportunities. It's because of my connections that I have. So yes.
Yes. I completely, totally agree. So what's a new word that we could call this kind of networking? You know, because I think the traditional word is not a good word. So maybe there's like the Shamika-ish word for high level networking.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, maybe like power partnering or connections, you know, that for me, because when you think about connections, when you think about energy and like connecting one, you know, when you can plug in something, there's a connection there. When you're extending things, there's connectors. So I look at it as connecting, but then there's the next level of that is once you connect, then there's this partnerships that you create. And there's all different levels of partnerships, right?
Yeah. There's all sorts of levels of partnerships. So I was trying to figure out my camera situation because I knew like the one that I wanted is not working. So I'm going to look at you right here because I realized that I was looking over here, but that's not the one that's working. Does this work?
I do the same thing. Yeah, I see you, but I look down here because I'm like, oh, what's going on over here?
Oh my goodness. You guys, it's just another one of those days. It's just another one of those days. It's all good though. So, thank God Kevin's here. He's got the good camera. But yeah, no, it's all about this other form of networking because I think when I hear networking, it's almost like when people think about sales. It's like this 4-letter bad word, but really I keep looking over there, but we really love to help people and we really love to serve and do all these things for our clients, but yet we all hate selling. It like doesn't make sense, right? But some of the best people that I've met, like I met this one guy on a flight and I met him when I was running onto the plane. I was like the last person on and the guy ended up being an investor. And then he said, oh, have you ever talked to Mark Cuban? And I'm like, yeah, I've talked to Mark Cuban because I actually pitched him on Shark Tank. Do you want to follow up with him? Because he might be a good, you know, maybe a couple years have gone by and I'm now more of an attractive company to invest in at the time. But anyway, just like literally, I don't know what you call that. It's not, I don't call it networking, but that is the definition of networking. But he literally sent Mark Cuban an email right there, like on the airplane.
Yeah. Super powerful.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So, Shamika, what are some of your go-to conversation starters? Like, how do you connect with people when you're at an event? Like, pretend you and I didn't know each other. What are I mean, I hate to call it, but like, what are your high-level networking pickup lines?
Yeah, so I actually hate this process in networking because people ask the most redundant questions that I don't really want to answer most of the time. And so I come up with all kinds of amazing ways to catch people off guard.
Okay.
And ask them questions. So I might ask, so like, what is the big thing that you're up to in the world right now? And they're like, whoa, the world?
That's cool. I like that. What are you up to in the world? Most people don't talk like that.
Mm-mm. No. I refuse to just go and like, so how'd you get here? Who invited you? What do you do? How many kids do you have? Like, no.
No. Okay, so what are you up to in the world is a great way to ask somebody instead of what it is that you do. What is it that you do? How'd you end up here? It's like, what are you up to in the world? That's way more powerful. Okay, what's another one?
Tell me something totally incredible and awesome about you that would make me fall in love with who you are as a person.
That's good. You had another one. We were at this event and someone commented on your hair and you said something to her and I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, wow, that was pretty awesome.
I don't know. I just randomly come off the cuff. I know in my mind that I don't want to say what everybody else says. And so just depends on the person. You know?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I think for each person listening today, if you can come up with 3 new conversation starters that you practice and you have like written out and ready to go, I think that would make going to, we still need to come up with a creative word, Shamika, for this networking event. But I think it would make it more interesting and more fun to come up with like 3 good conversation starters that are not traditional, like Shamika just shared. Some things that I do are, you know, I love to talk to people on airplanes. So I usually start conversations on airplanes with people, especially if you sit first class or upgrade to an exit row. You can meet some really cool people because you never know who you're sitting next to. So I was on a flight, and this was like years ago, and I sat first class, and I remember I was going to see my dad for Father's Day in Seattle, and I was writing out thank you cards, which I still do today. And the guy sitting to my right, he actually started the conversation, but what you can do is do an activity that perks someone's interest. Because on a flight, everyone's always like this, looking over your shoulder to see what you're doing. I've never been on a flight where no one's like trying to look over and pretend that they're not even seeing, you know, it's like so obvious. So anyway, he goes, are you an insurance agent? I'm like, no, I'm not. At the time I was doing real estate. And anyway, long story short, the week prior, his realtor died. And so he was actually looking for a new one. And from that day, I ended up doing his mortgages. I ended up buying a house for him, selling his old house. So there's so many interesting things you can do to start a conversation, but there's also like activities you can do to attract attention to ask people to ask you questions.
Yeah.
Have you done anything like that?
Just my purple hair. That's like my conversation starter.
What about your lipstick?
I don't go anywhere where someone doesn't comment on my hair and then we continue the conversation.
Oh, that's a really cool. I didn't know that. That's why you did that. So what if someone doesn't want to color their hair purple?
So I always try to find common ground with people too. So here's the other thing is networking is, for me, is strategic.
Yes.
When I go in the room, I scan first. So first I always know like what I want the outcome to be of me being at the event in the first place. Am I looking for connections? Am I looking for clients? Am I looking for possible opportunities? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? So I go that far. But then I scan the room. And so for me, it's like an energetic pull to people. I'm like, who do I want to know in the room? And then I start to find common ground with them, external, right? Any kind of external common ground or something that I notice, like if they're carrying a Kate Spade handbag or...
What if they have cute shoes?
Right, cute shoes, those kinds of things.
What if they had pink hair?
All of that. Like anything I can find that's an external connection point for me, that's something I know about or something I can comment on, that's where I start. That's
awesome. No, it's really good. So you have to know why you're going, what your mission and what your goal is, and then finding common ground with people. So lots of homework. Take one thing, put it into action, because it'll change the game. You never know where you're going to meet your next $50,000 client, right?
Never know.
Never know. Especially for those of you that are selling high ticket services and offers like Shamika and I do. Right. This is very, very important because your next client could be literally right next to you. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you're talking to somebody and it becomes silent. The awkward silence. Like, what do you do? Huh?
I hope not. So I have exit plans already planned out.
Exit plans. I love this. You have a term for it. That's such a good term, an exit plan. Okay. So when you hear awkward silence, you now execute your exit plan. Shamika, what is the exit plan? That's awesome.
So my go-to exit plan is to already have somebody to introduce the person to next, to hand them off to somebody else. So I already know who that might be, what that might be, or they may trigger something in the conversation and I'll say, hey, do you know Michelle? You know, this is what Michelle does.
You're going to pawn them off to me?
Yes. I think she's an amazing person for you to get to know, and I think you guys might find that you have a lot of things in common. Michelle, this is Linda. You know, Linda works in real estate, and, you know, I know that you were in the real estate industry before, so I want to make sure you guys connected. Bam, you guys connect, start talking, and I bow out of the conversation and beeline somewhere else.
Oh my God, I love it, the exit route. It's like the fire escape route in a building, right?
Yeah.
You're going to like zoom out the back stairs and run as fast as you can down the stairs. Okay, what do you do if you don't have a good referral?
A person to connect them to?
What's the exit plan if you don't have a good person you can connect them to?
It's usually just me saying, well, it was really, really great to meet you. You know, hopefully we'll have some opportunity to connect some more in the future. I'm going to go over there and grab some coffee. Talk to you later. Bye.
So you're just authentically and gracefully ending the conversation and leaving. Yeah, no, that's good. I never thought about this as an exit route, but this is really good. I'm like still in my airplane mode and I'm thinking of all of the slides throughout the emergency exit doors that I would like slide down. That's like what's going on in my head. And I feel like, and I don't know if some of you listening might feel the same, but maybe that's why you hate networking or you hate going to these events, because you're like, how do I get out of it without getting sucked into talking to someone for 10, 15, 20 minutes when you literally have nothing for them to talk about? Mm-hmm. And I like the referral idea. And I also like being able to gracefully bow out and then obviously go get a cup of coffee or water. So those are two great ways to gracefully exit and escape down the slide out of the airplane when you have an emergency landing. Oh my God. I'm glad we can entertain ourselves here. So, okay. Well, I guess we should have probably talked about this beforehand, but before you get to the exit route, like, how do you know when to really end a conversation? And for me, I would say, you know, not only when do you need to end the conversation, but how do you leave it on a positive? And I know, like, even, and I do this sometimes in networking too. And I think really understanding your elevator pitch, which we talked about a few weeks ago, is key, because you can also weave in what it is that you do and what you're looking for to communicate that to the person, so you can each help each other find people that might be a better match. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right? But like for you, Shamika, how do you know when to really end a conversation? Because our time is so valuable. And I feel like a lot of people just don't have a lot of time anymore, and then they dread going to these networking events, but really where you can meet and make some magical connections. They do happen. But it's the, like what we've talked about before, the fear of having to even deal with these types of conversations, right? Because we're not even selling our services and products yet, and it's just like, oh, how am I going to get through this next hour or two? But for you, like, how do you know when to really end it with someone, or when you know it's just not a good fit, and then how to execute your escape route?
So again, I'm very strategic in networking. I don't just run from person to person and talk to everybody. I'm talking to people because there is some sort of interest, or there is something about them that piques their interest, or they're coming to me. So the awkward silence is one. It's like when the conversation dies, it's done, it's over. I'm either introducing them, handing them off to somebody, or I'm bowing out gracefully from the conversation. But let's say that it is going somewhere. What most people try to do is they keep trying to talk and find out more information within while they're at the networking event. So let's say they're interested in your services and they're like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. And you're talking. You think it's going well if you're continually there and trying to sell at the event, but I don't. I end it. I say, you know what? It's really loud here. And there's so much going on, and there's a lot of people that we could be connecting with. I'd like to continue this conversation offline. Do you mind like us setting up a time to chat and talk and continuing this conversation later when it's more quiet?
Right.
And then I just put them in my calendar. We connect on social media. And then we know that we're going to be talking, but continuing this conversation that we've already started, where they're like, well, tell me more about that. So instead of me diving into the more, well, I do this and I do that, and my clients do this and my clients do that, I transition the conversation to a calendared appointment.
If you feel like they're a good fit to continue the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, and that's really helpful to try to take it out of the event as quickly as possible. I say it. It's like, because no one's really 100% present, and there's too much distraction going on. Right. But Denise also said, you know, if you ask them to introduce you to someone they know that might be able to help you, that's where I think really understanding and communicating your elevator pitch to somebody would make it even easier for them, because then you can put it back on them like, hey, this is what I do and this is what I'm looking for. You know, do you know anybody? You know, as a good way to end a conversation. And then you can ask the same in return. I'd love to introduce you to one person, because we're just not going to be the best fit together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see how that could work.
Yep. Cool. Anything else? Any other escape routes on how to end a conversation gracefully and authentically?
No, those are like, they work like a charm. So those are my go-tos for like exiting conversations. They're pretty amazing.
Okay, so I know we just touched on it a little bit, but following up with really good connections from an event is probably the most important thing that I think literally 1% of people actually do it. I try to follow up with people after an event within a day or two, typically. And I'd love to know, what do you do to follow up with a promising new connection at an event that you've gone to where you've met like one or two good people? And then I'll share what I do.
So again, I'm very intentional about everything that I do. So before I leave, I don't just randomly collect cards or names of people and then send them, you know, random messages like, so great to meet you. I will ask people that I've connected with, so how do you want to connect? Do you want to just connect on Facebook? You know, is there more information that you want with me? So I find out like, what's the purpose or point of us moving forward in this connection, and then the follow-up is either scheduled or we talk about it right then and there, so they know, well, I'm going to be sending you, you know, my 10K offer planner. I'm going to be sending you a link to that video we chatted about. I'm going to send you a welcome email that gives you some instructions on how to prepare for that call we're going to have together. I'm going to shoot you a message in Facebook just to say hi, so you know who I am and you remember who I am. And then I follow up based on the notes that I've given myself based on those conversations. Likely, if we haven't had a conversation about follow up, I won't be following up. Yeah. There's no reason to.
You know what I do too, to add just like one extra layer on that? I ask to take a picture with them. So we do a selfie, and then I email them and text them a picture of us too. So they remember who I am, because guess what, guys? Not everyone's going to remember you, you know, right. But I believe like with these photos, and I did that at this last, a few events I went to. I went to one too many. I did the overcommitted problem where I went to like 4 back to back. Never do that. But so there's this one guy, and I'll share the story. So I met him when I was getting my book signed by Damon John when I snuck into the VIP room at Traffic and Conversion, because I did not have a VIP pass, but I knew if I left his keynote 10 minutes early, I'd get in. So yeah, I was right. I got in. I was like second in line. And we were hanging out in there, and I met his one of his businesses he invested in, and his name was Mike. And Mike and I started chatting. I learned that he pitched on Shark Tank too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to have you here on the podcast, Success Unfiltered. And he's like, I would love to. I'm like, cool, let's take a picture, and I'll text it to you. So guess what? I got Mike's cell phone number at the same time. And then I said, oh, let me save it as a contact. Then I added in his email, and then I texted him our photo and emailed him, and then we booked the interview.
Cool.
But it was just super efficient. Like you're like, what do you call it? You're very strategic, right? Mm-hmm. I'm the same way, because we just don't have time to do this back and forth dance. And, you know, when you start to really put a value on your time, you're going to start to implement these little techniques that not only save you time, but the other people are like, damn, you're really on top of it. Right. And yeah, I am very on top of the follow-up process. You know, just like we've talked about following up with our sales process, following up with a good lead or a good connection could change everything for your business, or, you know, for my podcast, like for the guests or whatever. I mean, even I follow up with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We made a video together, and we did other cool stuff. And so really following up with promising connections is super duper key. And then if you don't, what do you think? What are the consequences?
Well, you just wasted your time, first of all.
Right.
Like if you're
so you waste your time.
You're there to connect with people, and then you just wasted it. Or if you wait too long, then you run the risk of people not knowing who you are, or maybe not remembering, like you talked about before, and it's missed opportunities. You never know. And it's not just about them possibly being a client. You don't know who they know.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So for me, it's missed opportunities and, you know, the opportunity for them to not remember you. I mean, who wants to not be memorable, but it can happen.
I mean, I don't know who would not remember you, Shamika, but it's true. We're all too busy. We all have way too many devices. There's way too much social media. You have way too many emails. There's just way too much going on. So what's like one or two unique things that you can do today to set yourself apart from anyone else they're going to meet? Right? Yeah.
I have to think about this from a normal person's point of view, because I'm just kind of, you know, I'm very loud. It's not vocally, but my dress is loud. I wear stripes and colors, and my hair is purple, and I wear, you know, costume jewelry. And so I'm pretty memorable just because of who I am.
Right.
But like you said, having your elevator pitch down where it's very conversational, and it's different. Whenever I train people on how to do elevator pitches, which I don't like that name at all, like how often have you ever introduced yourself in an elevator? Never, right?
Can we come up with a new name for all these terms? I think we need a Shamika and Michelle dictionary.
For networking or
for
whatever.
Sales. Yeah, for sales. I think that's our next book.
Cool, we'll do it. So this whole elevator pitch, we'll call it that for right now. If you get it down where it's conversational but different, because people have a certain way of doing elevator pitches where they all sound the same.
I know.
And if yours can be different, like I heard this guy say this at the event we were at, I was like, that's amazing. He said his name and he said, I help people make a crap ton of money and I keep a little for myself. And I was like, that's cool, right? So one thing is like saying your name in the beginning, saying your name in the end, and then getting people's attention with what you say. So they're like, wait, what'd you say? You know?
But I think the biggest thing about what you just said is that it was about the other person.
Yes.
It wasn't about him.
Right.
Right? So he said, I make you a crap ton of money and then I just keep a little bit. So like, it sounds like, wow, like that guy is all about the other person. And he wasn't making it about himself. But I think a lot of people miss the boat because they make these 30-second pitches all about them.
all about them.
And that's
You'd
not
be better off talking about your clients or an example of results that you've gotten or something like that. Yeah, some kind of story.
right. No, I like that. Okay, what's yours, Shamika? What do you tell people? You just met me. We're at this event. What do you say to me?
I probably will never give anyone an elevator pitch. I'm very anti-elevator pitch. Here's why. Because I know you're not going to buy from me in this room right now based on anything that I say. But here's what I do know. That if I show interest in you and I genuinely get to know you as a person, then you'll genuinely want and desire to know more about me and interest in me. And so every conversation when I connect with people, I try to focus on them. So that's literally my elevator pitch is I'm going to let you do all of the talking and I'm going to keep asking more and more and more and more questions about who you are and what you got going on in your life because everybody's favorite conversation and topic is themselves.
Them.
Yeah.
Love it. But I think that's a huge thing because you made it all about the other person too. And then if you do want to sell them or pitch them on something, you've got your process in that you're going to set up a call with them right then and there.
Exactly.
So I like that approach too. That's really, really good. All right. Anything else, you guys, on this? Shamika and I are going to come up with some new words, but any questions for the awesome Shamika on networking? We got to come up with a new word, but maybe you can look up synonyms.
For networking?
Yeah, networking and elevator pitch. We're going to come up with new words. A lot of these words have bad reputations. We understand. It's not our fault. It's just what people have used. But if you use them in the proper way, which we're talking about, then it's only going to help you and your business. Also, the goal for you for this month is I would love it if you attempted or looked for one networking event and make at least one serious and mutually beneficial connection with someone. And then don't forget to follow up, maybe using one or two things that Shamika and I shared today.
Yeah.
Did you find any good synonyms?
No. Something just came to mind, though, about networking and why I don't like the traditional networking. Because it's just that one event, couple of hours thing. The networking that I love to do that's sort of the same thing is like where we were for 3 days. I love networking at 3-day events because I've gone to 3-day events and I leave there with people that sort of feel like family. That's 3 whole days to get to know people, 3 whole days to dive into who they are, 3 whole days for them to find out more about you. And people buy from people they know, like, and trust. It's hard to do that in an hour. It's hard to do that in 30 minutes. It's hard to do that in a couple of hours, even in a day. So if you could get to some of these 3-day type events or trainings where you stay in a hotel and you're just with people all day for 3 days, that is life-changing. And that is where I find my most amazing clients. Some of my most amazing clients.
Okay. So the new goal for this month has now shifted, and it's to go to at least one 3-day event and make at least 1 or 2 or 3 serious and mutually beneficial connections with someone where when you leave, they feel like they're family, and see and watch what happens and make sure to do some of the follow-up that we talked about here, be it take a selfie and text it to them because then you get your cell phone number, and then also maybe book an actual appointment in both your calendars to set up even a longer term time to talk once you're back in your everyday life.
Yep.
Yeah? Cool. Well, that's all we have today. So, okay, guess what, you guys? Guess what next week is all about? How to make a good elevator pitch so you know what to say when you go to your next 3-day event. And by next week, I will have a new name for this term. I don't know what it's going to be, but if you have some ideas, put them in the comment box. Put them in the comment box below and let me know. We're together as the royal family. We're going to come up with a better term for the elevator pitch because, I don't like it either.
I'm like, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, I get the concept that you have so much time to get to the next floor, but it's one of my least favorite terms.
What ideas do you guys have? Someone said, so I do products and services. I use the products to pitch, but I want to lead that into my something. I want to lead that into my services, which I don't think always happens. That's what Missy was saying. I don't really understand that.
So she sells a product.
She says, I do products and services. I use the products to pitch, but I also want to lead that into my, oh, okay. She wants her products to lead into sales of her services, which I don't think always happens.
Yeah.
What do you sell, Missy? I don't remember. I know I should know what you sell, but I don't. I forgot.
That would be good to know. Like, what do you sell and what's the service that you offer?
Yeah, what do you sell and what's the service? Tell me. Any other comments on the Instagram? Questions on the Instagram? Hey. Okay, that's a good one. Shamika, have you thought of any really good words for the elevator pitch yet? Oh, Missy said tea, herb, tinctures? Tinctures? What's a tinctures?
I got it. And then what's
She's
her
an
service?
herbalist. Oh,
Yeah.
you're an herbalist. Oh, I didn't know that. So herbs is a product, herbalist is a service. Oh, I'm looking over here. I'm looking at the wrong damn place again.
Wait, herbalist is a service.
Yeah, and the herbs is the product. So herbal extracts.
So the service is that she would be creating mixtures of this? Like, what's the actual service?
Yeah, I don't know. Missy, go to my Pitch Queen page and place your question there so Shamika and I can answer it, okay? So
Yeah.
do that over there. I don't see any questions here, but we are going to come up with a better name. And Amy is like a super genius at all these creative names. So maybe Amy's going to come up with a better name by next Tuesday, next week. All right, you guys. Shamika, any last words? Any last words for rocking your next three-day event that you're going to find to go to in the next 12 months that's going to change not only your game, but also your business? Mm-hmm. Any last words of wisdom from the awesome resident guest, Shamika?
So I was thinking a couple of things. One, like, have a strategy. Like, no, I want to just meet one awesome or amazing power partner. I want to potentially find one new client in this room or whatever, so that as you're talking to people, your mind and your brain and everything you're doing kind of understands who you're scanning the room for, because it's different. You know, it's different if it's a client. It's different if it's a partner possibility. It's different if it's an opportunity for you to speak or whatever it is that you're looking for, because you'll hear differently because you have a different filter on.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love about networking at three-day events is I always say, serve your butt off. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm in that room, and when people ask questions that are in my zone of genius, of course I ask permission first, but I will share my wisdom, my knowledge, like, freely.
I love that you ask permission. Yeah. That's just so awesome.
Yeah. I can't just...
I love you, Shamika.
I love you back.
You're just so awesome. So all you guys have to do is do everything she just said that we talked about today, and it's just going to elevate you into the clouds of networking.
And have fun. Have fun.
And have fun.
Have fun. That's
have fun. But like you said, you came from a place of service, and that you're just going to really serve everybody you meet. And most people don't come from that place. Unfortunately, it's just not that way. So thank you, Shamika, for always being here. Next time we're going to start a little earlier.
Just a little, like maybe around 2. Is that when we want to start?
Yeah, just a little bit. But thank you, everyone, for all the hearts, for all the thumbs up, for all the shares. If you're watching, if you can hit the share button and put it on your pages right now, that would be awesome. Wow, we've been talking for 40 minutes. Man, time flies when you have a good time. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. Thank you, Shamika, for being here.
Thanks, love. Bye.